Hello, my friends. It is Jessica. This is I Read to Relax, and I am here with my trusty TBR jar. So we are going to pick my April TBR today. I did not do a fantastic job on my March TBR. Honestly, I started a new job and I just have not had the mental capacity to read as much as I wanted to. So I think for both February and March, it's going to turn out that I read 6 books, but that's okay. Life ebbs and flows. Sometimes we have a better reading month than others. What I'm going to do is pick 6 prompts from the jar. We will match up to 6 books for my TBR. I'll also have an audiobook and a nonfiction book that I will just pick on the side. And I think I'm going to try and pick a couple of ebooks and round out my TBR to about 10 books total, which is what I normally sort of try to pick, and it gives me like a list of things to choose from through the month. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Miss Valentine is here to help. I know you can just sort of see her, but yeah. So obviously, I'm not sitting directly in front of my bookshelf this video. My little room is still somewhat of, I don't want to say it's a disaster. It's just disorganized because with switching jobs, I had to bring some stuff home. I haven't brought stuff to the new office yet. So there's just a little more than usual, and it happens to be right in front of my bookshelf. So hopefully by our May TBR video, we'll be back in front of the shelves. So you can see me sort of live picking. Today, what I'm going to do is pick the prompt, grab some choices, come back, and we'll just kind of process that way. So, all right, so we've got our first prompt. Let's see what this one says. All right, so this says, book by a previous 5-star author. So I've got a lot of those because I actually give out 5 stars pretty easily, but I will go check my shelves and see what some of my options are. So I'm back with a couple of choices. And I think I know what I'm going to pick, but we're going to go through them anyway, just in case. So the first one is Kingdom of Chaos, which is book 2 in the Creatures of Chaos trilogy or series. I'm not sure how many books actually it's going to be. I loved the first book in the series, gave it a 5-star, so solid contender. There is Cherish by Tracy Wolff, which I think would be making its 3rd appearance on a TBR. It's the last book in the series. I really love the series, and I really want to finish the series, but I just have not had the time and energy to pick this one up. So that's why we still haven't finished it. And then the last one is the start of a new series. Well, new for me, not new from the author. But this is Capture the Crown, which is the first book in the Gargoyle Queen series, which is a spin-off of her Crown of Shards series, which I absolutely loved. And I actually think I've really been in the mood for a book like this. So I think for April, I'm going to go with Capture the Crown by Jennifer Estep. Like I said, it's the first in this series. And I've been trying to put off starting new series, but I just feel like that's exactly what I'm in the mood for. So I'm not going to fight it anymore. Yeah, it says that the best-selling author Jennifer Estep returns to her Crown of Shards world with an all-new trilogy and a bold heroine who protects her kingdom from magic, murder, and mayhem by moonlighting as a spy. So, yeah, the first book on my TBR for April is going to be Capture the Crown by Jennifer Estep. Prompt number 2. Can't get one in there. Okay. It's a printed one. Oh, most recent purchase. Okay. So the book that arrived actually earlier in the mail today is The Well of Ascension, which is book 2 in the Mistborn Era 1 trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. But this is actually going to be my audiobook read for the month of April. So this is already going to be on my TBR. I got the physical book so I could do an immersive read. I'm going to put this off to the side. Like I said, this is actually already on my TBR. And then the book that came yesterday was Cultish by Amanda Montell. It's the language of fanaticism. I watched the America's Next Top Model documentaries that came out recently, and somebody mentioned the book Cultish, and I was like, I have wanted to read that for a while, so I actually got myself a copy of this. But I think I have a different nonfiction book in mind to read for the month of April, so I'm going to put this one off to the side, which leaves the book that came at the end of last week. No, it came out Tuesday, maybe. I don't remember. How bad is that? I don't know. This was the next last book that I received in the mail. My pre-order of In Amorata by Ava Reed. This is the gorgeous signed Waterstones edition because I really thought this cover was beautiful. I liked it more than the US edition, and it has this gorgeous naked hardcover. So I think that I'm going to go ahead and put In Amorata, which was technically on my March TBR, and it didn't really arrive in time, right onto my April TBR. So this will be for my most recent purchase. Let's pick prompt number 3. Yeah, you going to help me pick? You smell the jar? Okay. This is the one that we got. Yeah. We're going to open it and show it to people. Yeah. Let's see what it says. Title with 4 or more words. Okay. I've got 4 choices for this one that have 4 or more words in the title. So the first one would be another rollover from my March TBR, Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura. This one's a contemporary adventure romance, and I really want to read it, but I feel like I'm just not in the mood for this right now, so I think I'm going to put this off until we get a little closer to summertime. I always feel like I read more contemporary romance in the summer. The next one is Sweep of the Blade by Ilona Andrews. This is part of the Innkeeper... Is it the Innkeeper Chronicles? I think it's the Innkeeper Chronicles series, which I've really enjoyed. And this is the next book in the series. I think it's book 4. So this one could be really fun. The next one, and this is my special edition copy, but it is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. And I feel like, this is just gorgeous and I can't wait to read it. But I've heard such good things about like this cozy fantasy. And I feel like this could just be such a fun read going into April and like cozy. And after a couple of months where I didn't read as much, it might be nice to have something like light. So that's a very solid contender. And then the last one is The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands by Sarah Brooks. This one is, again, sort of a like sci-fi fantasy dystopian. It's a blend of historical fiction and fantasy. And I'm really interested in getting to this one, but I think I talked myself into Emily Wilde. I'm just in the mood, I think, for something light and hopefully fun. So we'll put that one on the TBR. Pick prompt number 4. Okay. We've got a 5-star prediction. Okay. Let's see. So I've got a couple sitting right here, but I am going to go check the shelf too to see if there's something that just screams for me right now. Okay, so I have some choices and I just have to decide what I'm in the mood for. So the first one is another new release. This is To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast, and this one is a dystopian. It is a thrilling, action-packed romance, perfect for fans of the Hunger Games. Basically, you have to, the main character has to escape a prison where the wealthy hunt the inmates for sport. So, love a good dystopian. I have the last book in the Queens of Renthia trilogy, The Queen of Sorrow. I just read book 2 in February. I think it was February. Was it March? No, I think it was February. And it was so good. Both books earlier in the series have been a 5-star for me, so I'm 100% sure finishing out the series will be another 5-star. A Far Better Thing by H.G. Perry. I read The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door and absolutely loved that book last year. So this was the next closest sounding, like, vibes-wise from H.G. Perry, so I'm really excited to read this one. The fairies stole Sidney Curtin as a child and made him a mortal servant of the realm. Now he has a rare opportunity for revenge against the Fae and Charles Darnay, the changeling left in his stead. It will take magic and cunning, cold iron and realm silver to hide his intentions from humans and Fae and bring his plans to fruition. Shuttling between London and Paris during the Reign of Terror, generations of violence begetting violence lead him to a heartbreaking choice in the shadow of the guillotine. So, like, dark fairy changeling revenge story set in, like, the French Revolution. I think this is going to be amazing. And then the last one again is Kingdom of Chaos by Julie Hall. I gave the first book a 5-star. God, I love these editions. And I don't want to go into, like, the whole synopsis because it is book 2. It's a sequel, but it was like a YA academia setting with trials, and it's a fun time. So I think I'm just in a Fae mood, and I think I'm going to go with A Far Better Thing by H.G. Perry. I just love the idea of, like, this French Revolution setting and the dark Fae and, like, the revenge story. I think this one's just going to be, I think it's going to be great. So fingers crossed we're right. All right, let's grab prompt number 5. Oh, I'm dropping some out of the jar. Okay, this is the one we're going to choose. And I'm picking up the other ones and putting them back in the jar. Okay, so. Has 400 plus pages. Okay. I feel like I've already picked a chunky TBR, but we're going to do it. We're going to check first, does Kingdom of Chaos have more than 400 pages? Let's not spoil things. Oh, yeah. This one ends on 486. So, we're just going to go with Kingdom of Chaos because I want to read this one and it is closer to 500 pages. So, we will just read this chonker. And have a rocking good time in April. Last one we're going to pick out of the jar is going to be this one. Let's see what we've got. Oh my God. Book with trials or a heist. So, we already have Kingdom of Chaos, which may not have trials in it, but I've got one. So I was going to say that I didn't want to use that prompt because I felt like some of the books that we already have to do with heists and trials and that kind of theme. But then I remembered it's actually The Wonderland Trials by Sarah Ella. It's the first book in the Curious Real Realities series, and I've been wanting to read this for a while. I bought it and just have not taken it off my shelf, and I absolutely am obsessed with any Alice's Adventures in Wonderland retellings. I love Alice. I love Wonderland. I love the whole vibe. So I've been dying to read this one because, again, it is based on that. And I am super excited for this one. So, solve the clues, face your fears, survive the trials. All Alice Liddell wants is to escape her normal life in Oxford and find the parents who abandoned her 10 years ago. But she gets more than she bargained for when her elder sister Charlotte is arrested for having the infamous Wonder Gene, the key to unlocking the curious Wonderland reality. Soon Alice receives a rather cryptic invitation to play for Team Heart in this year's annual and often deadly Wonderland Trials. Now she has less than 24 hours to find her way into Wonderland, where nothing is impossible or what it seems. So we're going to go ahead and add a little Alice whimsy to our April TBR, and we will read the Wonderland Trials, or at least try to get to it. So those were all the prompts I was going to pick out of the jar. And I already told you my audiobook. I'll go back and do a recap at the end. But the last book that I'm going to pick physically is my nonfiction for April. So I'm trying to decide between these two. The first one is That's a Great Question, I'd Love to Tell You by Elise Myers. This is a series of essays from her life, and I just love her, and I think it's going to be a fun, interesting read. And then the other one is Be Your Own Bestie, a no-nonsense guide to changing the way you treat yourself by Misha Brown, who both of these authors are social media personalities, content creators. And I love them both, and I'm excited to read both their books, and I just couldn't decide which one I thought I would get the most out of right now or find the most interesting. I did just read Tabitha Brown's book, which I can't remember the name of, so I will stick the cover up here. Oh, Feeding Your Soul. I just read Feeding Your Soul by Tabitha Brown over February and March. I just sort of picked at it here and there, which was more on that life lessons, self-help-ish vibe, which I think this one is too. So I think I may put this one off and read it in May or June. And I think I'm going to go with That's a Great Question, I'd Love to Tell You, because I think this one's going to be more conversational and just stories versus life lessons. So I think this is going to be my nonfiction pick. And then I'm also going to read, or put, I should say, a couple of ebooks onto my TBR. So the 2 ebooks that I'm going to put on my TBR for the month of April are The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. And this one is a sort of like thriller mystery, literary fiction. I don't know exactly what genre I would call this, but the very broad synopsis is that there is a writer who, when he was a teenager, had a family tragedy. Some family members died. Nobody ever knew what happened. Like, he never spoke about it as the survivor. And now that he is like, somebody has been hired to ghostwrite his last book, and I think stuff comes to the surface. So I think it'll be an interesting, like, totally different type of book to add into the mix. I've been wanting to read this one for a while, so I'm excited for that. And then the last book I'm going to put on my TBR is Lost Shift by A.J. Skelly. And this one is a spin-off from the Wolves of Rock Falls series, which I really, really love. These are sort of like YA paranormal, like werewolf shifter books. They are sort of romance, but because it's YA, it's not like steamy, heavy romance. It's more just there happens to be romance in sort of like the adventure plot. Those 2 ebooks, and then I will give you a quick rundown on what the other books were that we picked, and that will be my April TBR. So again, I'm going to do the semi-immersive read with the audiobook of The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. And then I picked Capture the Crown by Jennifer Estep, the first in the Gargoyle Queen series, as a book by a previous 5-star author. In Amorata by Ava Reed was my most recent purchase. I'm excited for this one. And then we picked Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies for a book with more than 4 words in the title. And my 5-star prediction is A Far Better Thing by H.G. Perry. And then a book with more than 400 pages, because I don't have a large enough TBR already, is Kingdom of Chaos by Julie Hall. A book with trials or a heist is The Wonderland Trials by Sarah Ella. And then last but not least is my nonfiction choice for the month. And That's a Great Question, I'd Love to Tell You by Elise Myers. So that is my April TBR. We will see if I read more books in the month of April now that I'm sort of settling into my new job, getting the schedule down. Thank you so much for helping me choose my TBR this month, or watch me choose my TBR. I hope that you've got some amazing books picked out for the month of April. I wish you happy reading. Feel free to like the video, comment in the video, subscribe to my channel. You can also catch me over on Instagram at I Read to Relax. And I will see you guys next time. All right, bye.